السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. And welcome to a new episode of our series in أريد للإصلاح ما استطعت. I'm seeking reform to the best of my ability. Today our topic is charity as a means of personal and societal reform. Today we are to talk about how charity is not just about giving your money. How charity is way more profound, and it's about prioritizing others over your own self and your own needs. And it's about how you contribute to fixing the world, to making the world a better place. So, first and foremost, we would like to go through a very, very important verse. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did talk about the amazing characteristics about Al-Ansar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ وَمَنْ يُوقَ شُحَّ نَفْسِهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. They are prioritizing others over themselves, even though they may have a need, even if they are in need for whatever they are giving away. And whoever is protected from the stinginess of his soul, those are the successful. So, if you look at companions, and in particular Al-Ansar, the people of Medina that did host the migrants from Mecca, definitely these guys did demonstrate the most proof point that you could think of for ithar, for prioritizing over others over themselves. And here, charity is not just about money, it's about conquering selflessness. It's about beating your own shaitan and giving others, especially from whatever you love. And that's why the true agent of change puts others ahead of their own needs. And here, the Prophet ﷺ is telling us, if you are to do so, charity does not decrease wealth. And this is a fundamental concept that we all need to believe in. That in our religion, when you give anything for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are not decreasing your total. Your sum didn't decrease. In fact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will multiply. من ذا الذي يقرض الله قرضا حسنا فيضاعفه له أضعافا كثيرة. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling us here, who is the one who is to give a loan, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you are lending who? You are lending Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Does Allah need your loan? Does Allah need my loan? But Allah is saying that in a form that we would understand. You give Allah alone, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will multiply it in folds to you. And that's why it's extremely important for us to perceive charity as a way of benefiting. You are not decreasing your sum. And the third, very, very critical hadith here is that charity extinguishes the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So as narrated by Imam Tirmidhi, indeed, charity extinguishes the wrath of Allah and protects against a bad death. So here, every dollar you give in ways and of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help you in ways that you cannot imagine. So now, we need to ask ourselves, when we are to give as agents of change, a very, very important aspect of you giving, distinguishing you from anything else, is that you need to be giving with a purpose. You need to be supporting causes. You need to be working towards a goal or a set of goals that you are driven to be able to achieve them. And these goals would would create almost like an agenda, a plan for you to deploy your funds and deploy your wealth and deploy your sadaqat. So that said, let's actually do whatever we are used to do, which is put together some sort of a recipe, action items. Number 1, أنفق مما تحب. Spend from whatever you love. Because Allah is telling us, لن تنالوا البر حتى تنفقوا مما تحبون. You will not attain righteousness, the best form of goodness, until you spend from that which you love. And this is in Surah Al Imran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us crystal clear. So you actually not to give a leftover. You are to give the best of the best. Whatever is so precious, so valuable in your eyes, you give it away, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will substitute to you and will give you much better alternatives. So the other thing, which is give charity on a regular basis. Very, very practical advice. Set some sort of a monthly charity, for example, a given budget that you are giving on an ongoing basis and so on. And subhanAllah, many of our non-profit organizations right now have this ability of recurring payments. This is amazing because at the end of the day, it allows you to give without even thinking about it and get to a habit of giving on an ongoing basis. The third one here is support sustainable causes. And like you need to be like using smartness in spending. Spend in a very, very alert and smart way and in a mission driven way, right? So you need to be, rather than giving a one-time charity here, one-time charity there. Imagine, for example, if you are taking care of an orphan and you are consistently taking care of an orphan, or you are consistently feeding a family, أطعموا الطعام. So like you are أنا وكافل اليتيم كهاتين في الجنة. You are trying to elevate yourself to be with this level, that closeness, هاتين في الجنة, that close to the Prophet ﷺ. So that wouldn't be able to be achieved except if you are supporting causes and specific causes that you are really focusing on and you are really like deploying your funds against and towards. So to conclude, charity isn't just about giving an extra. Charity is about giving what truly matters. Will you be among those people that in this Ramadan will transform themselves to really benefit the most out of their charities? Will you be among those who are truly giving for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and giving from what is valuable in their eyes and seeking the reward of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be true agents of change. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be spending with love, spending with compassion, spending with conviction, spending with belief, spending with certainty, spending with an actual hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would substitute it for us in multiple folds in the day of judgment. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this Ramadan the best Ramadan for each and every one of us, for all of us, for our families, for our beloved. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.